Hey, Jamie.
Andy, what's the good word?
Oh, webinar. That's a good word. We've we've
Well, I
been
feel like,
doing we've been
yeah,
doing our share this week, haven't we?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Today's been an all-day webinar, we could say, with the test
oh,
drive. But as Scott was saying, record attendance for this test drive, which is certainly a good thing for everybody involved. So yeah, here we are again with another trading studio.
exactly. And yeah, I do not mind all the webinars helping people become better traders. I've been doing it for a long time, and I enjoy it. And Jamie's the same way. So let's dive straight in, guys. This is July 20th, and this is going to be the webinar. Before we get into it, we got to take care of a few legal issues. You're going to see some cool stuff today, some stuff that some software that will enhance your trading experience and hopefully increase your profits, and that's what we're all about. You're going to see some cool alerts, top list, things that will show you opportunity in the marketplace. But nothing you see or hear today, guys, should be construed as investment advice. If that's what you're seeking, please look for a registered broker, RIA, stockbroker. But we are going to have some fun and move forward. And let's go over our agenda in just a minute. But first, I want to talk about all the support, education, and training, and we have been giving a lot of it this week. I will mention it right now. We've been doing a support session every day this week from let's see, 10 o'clock Eastern time to 2 o'clock. We've had a good turnout. A lot of people have just been talking about how great it's been, especially if you're new to the software and you need to learn some things. Great place to come in and ask questions. If you are here and you are still kicking the tires and not sure, if you want to subscribe to Trade Ideas, it's a great place to come and ask questions and get to know the software really well before you dive into that experience. So just we want to invite everyone, subscribers and non-subscribers alike, to come to this support session. Our last one will be tomorrow, but we do have them every Friday after that from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern time. And guys, we have webinars throughout the week, every day at the 5 o'clock Eastern time, except on Friday, and then we have a podcast, and Scott will highlight that podcast as he takes us out this evening. So, and one other thing, the trading room. Let's not forget about the trading room. A lot of great traders in there. It's hosted by Barry. He does an incredible job of showing his desktop and negotiating the market as he trades using our software. It's a great place to be, guys, especially if you're new. There's no better way than to looking over a professional shoulder. I did a service similar to this long before I came on to Trade Ideas, and did it for about 4 or 5 years, and it's a great experience if you're trying to learn how to trade. Of course, back then I charged big money for it. Now you can come for free. This is free to everybody. So if you haven't been there, please get in that trading room. Yes, it's a great place. So tons of support, education, and training, and that's very important when you have a software as powerful as ours. But you can see we just don't throw the software at you and make you learn on your own. We are here for you, and we're here to help. And one other thing, when you do sign up and subscribe to Trade Ideas, you get a free 1-hour training, one-on-one training with myself, Jamie, or Steve. And this is right now when we do have the test drive, we get a little bit backed up, guys. So bear with us. You might have to wait, 2 or 3 weeks, but that's actually a good thing, because this is a way where you can watch the videos. You can come to these webinars that we're doing throughout the week, and you can get a lot of knowledge and pretty much have the software down. So then when you come to your one-on-one, you are more prepared, and we can go deeper into just get a little more advanced, and actually go into trading strategies and things like that. So it's a good thing to have a somewhat of a grasp of the software when you come into those one-on-one trainings. All right. One other thing I'd like to mention real quickly is the Brokerage Plus product that we have. This is for experienced traders that really want to take their strategies to the next level and automate them. I do not recommend this for beginning traders, or, actually if you've been trading, less than, I wouldn't, even intermediate, maybe advanced intermediate, but this is where you basically tie in your Brokerage Plus to IB. It's connected, and when one of your alerts goes off, it automatically trades on the IB platform. We do have several using it, but once again, I recommend this for advanced traders only. If you're interested, you can find more information at trade-ideas.com /beta. All right, let's look at the agenda for today, guys. It is, we're going to talk more about the market recap. Boy, just incredible move we've seen over the last couple of weeks, so we'll talk about that. Holly, it was a very sloppy day in the market, not unusual when you've had a big move like we've seen in the market to have one of these kind of sideways doji days. We'll talk more about that in the market recap. But Holly did okay. There's a couple of really good trades in there. But for the most part, it was kind of a risk-off day when you see action like you saw in the market today. But we'll talk about Holly. And then I got a new little scan for you. I know everybody likes it. I basically took my option play magic and I turned it into a top list. And I am going to share that with you. And then talk about how I've been reading a lot of emails and whatnot in our sessions. Sometimes people talking about how they want to learn, they're not into this fast day trading. They want to learn, is our software designed to find position trades, swing trades, whatever you want to call it? And it really is, and I'm going to show you how simple the concept is. It's not so much about what your alert's designed for, it's what you're seeing in that chart pattern when your alert goes off. You got to keep in mind that every swing trade starts out as a day trade. And I'll get more into that idea, as we move forward. And then, of course, since this is the test drive week, we're going to open it up for Q&A. So I know some of you guys are coming here, still have a lot of questions. So, as we get toward, the midway point, you can start firing your questions off, and we'll get to them. But for right now, let me back out of this, and we'll pull up the spiders here and take a look at the market. And I'm going to stretch out the daily chart here because that's what we're mostly interested in. If I can grab this corner. There we go. Zoom in a little bit. And there's really I don't need to be drawing any type of trend line. The trend is pretty obvious here. We're nowhere near the trend line levels. It's actually way down here. So, the key level right now was this breakout that we had going back about 5 days ago. We can mark that up. Now we have a defined breakout where we broke out of this level, came back, tried to retest it real quick, popped back up, and wow, just a very powerful market. The volumes are not crazy. As a matter of fact, they're pretty light, but it doesn't matter. We talk about price is the only thing that pays. It doesn't matter what kind of volume it is. At the end of the day, if the price is higher and you're in it, you made money. So. The spiders have been kind of the leaders over the last week, I would say. The diamonds been dragged down a little bit, but not quite as robust, as the spiders there. I think IBM kind of held them back one day, and I can't remember what the other stock was, but nonetheless, still close to a 52-week high. And Qs also again back to a 52-week high, closing high there in the Qs. Happened yesterday, and it even kind of happened today, a new closing high there, which, I'll face it, I had my doubts after seeing this downside volume. But boy, what a resilient market. We just held that level right there. So there's not much to add, Jamie. I will talk a little bit about the IWM, even though I'm not a big fan of it. It's pretty sloppy to me, but it did finally, close above this level yesterday and held it today. So we'll see if it has staying power. We were fooled a couple of times right there. It looked like it was going to break out. Once again, there failed. So basically about 3 or 4 failed attempts. So we'll see if this one can work. But just not seeing a whole lot there. Jamie, you got anything to add to the overall market? I mean,
No, I was just, kind of laughing when you were talking about the IWM because, yeah, it's tried a couple of times, and boy, those past couple of attempts, it didn't take but a day or two for it to roll back down. So it'll be interesting moving forward, see where that thing is by the end of the week, which is only tomorrow. So
hmm
a lot's going to be foretold over the next couple of days of action for that IWM. So
yeah,
one thing's certain, the next couple of days are going to be very interesting.
yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, I mean, when you see something like this, you finally what happens is the major averages are just dragging it, trying to drag. Say, come on, guys, you can do it. Talking to the big guys, talking to the little guys, man.
Yeah, it's like Weekend at Bernie's. They're just going to drag him along with them.
Exactly. But yeah, that's enough. I mean, like, you guys, anybody can read a chart and look at these spiders and diamonds and see what's going on here. I think that's a key level. If we do get a pullback, could be a bidding opportunity, but that's the level we're looking at now. And then we got just a couple levels here, but other than that, you can. It's just a very I want to say powerful, but there's not a whole lot of power behind it. It's just a upward melting, bleeding up, whatever you want to call it. All right, Jamie, I think if you're ready, we can move on. Jamie's going to talk about a couple of trades in Holly today and kind of go over the numbers for us. And
yeah, I'm grabbing that screen from you right now, Andy. So just let me know when you can see.
I got it.
All right, cool. I think I got my charts here. Let me make sure I turn my surfing off. It is off. All right. Yeah, so as Andy was saying earlier, a little bit of a sloppy day, and just looking at what the market did, we're looking at 5-minute candlesticks right here on the SPY. So the opening bar here, little herky jerky right here, and then a little swoosh down here. Now, before I get into Holly, I do feel that I should talk about our friend, the compare count, one more time, because this is something that time and time again, it's not magic or anything, but it does give us a good idea of what the market's going to do in the short term after the open. So once again, just taking a look at how the SPY closed today, we got pretty close back up to highs, but not quite, and we've got a little bit of aftermarket activity going on. By the time the open rolls around, we'll be gapping up, gapping down, nobody knows for sure. But if we take note here, this is the first 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of the market right here. Now, this reading for this compare count window was snapped 20 minutes into the open. And just so everybody knows what I'm talking about, this is what's called a compare count window. And we can pop strategies into the red and the green side that are basically opposites of one another. And so it's very similar to what we call the tick on the NYC, which is just simply advancers versus decliners as a whole, right? Could be thin stocks, could be thick stocks, and anything in between. Now, this one is only programmed to look at stocks hitting highs and lows that are capitalized at 4 billion and over, that are doing significantly higher 1-minute volume in that first 20-minute period. So after the first 20 minutes, this is the reading that we had: 55% red, 45% green. 55% is kind of that key level. If it's 54, 53, doesn't mean quite as much, but as soon as we start getting up to 55, 56, especially 60, then it's a pretty accurate leading indicator most of the time. So if we had this reading right after the open, and we're getting that reading right here, 5, 10, 15, 20, we did take a little snap up, but you can see what the market did in the short term, all right? And so emphasis is on the short term. And of course, once we see this type of activity going back up, well, then obviously things are changing. But it's just a slight peek into the future sometimes. So keep that in mind. And before the webinar is over, I'll make sure I drop that compare count window into the chat area. You can pop that cloud link into your software. And, it's just something that you probably need to start watching and getting used to what you're seeing. And I think you're going to start noticing these correlations. Now, we had a nice little downturn here. And if we look at the risk on P&L graph for Holly today, we'll see that there were some cookies here. And by the way, what I mean by cookies, these were all long trades that Holly initiated today. So we showed up with 12 strategies, which we can see here. All but 2 of those guys were shorts, were longs. So all of them were long except for 2 shorts. Of course, we can see the shorts did not get any action, along with Tailwind and Count de Monet. None of these guys fired a trade today. But a little bit of money in the beginning, and then a little rollover to negative, and then all the way back up again. So once again, referencing what Andy was saying earlier, a little bit of a sloppy day. This is kind of a sloppy range when we're just, on one end of the seesaw, going down and back up, down and back up, and then finally getting less and less severe as the day progressed. Now, Holly started putting on trades pretty early today. Her first one was just a little after 5 minutes after the open. Now, that one just happened to be probably the prettiest trade of the day, and we'll get into that in just a second. But nobody here really ran away with the show today. 4 and 4 from these guys, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1 and 1 respectively. So when you see these 0% win today, that's just because they spit out one trade and it lost. Therefore, we're going to have 0%. Whereas this guy had 1, so it's at 100%. Pretty impressive right here. Sunrise movers, 4 out of 4. This guy slightly overperformed. Just keep in mind, this is what the strategies came in to the session with their statistical probability. This is how each and every one did today. All right, so as Andy was referencing earlier, it was pretty much a risk-off day today, and we can see the yield curve here just slightly staying in the green most of the day. If we did accept more risk, it was that roller coaster ride of, if you want to accept more risk, well, that typically means not only more risk, but a little bit more pain. What I mean by pain is being out of the money for a little bit. So at the worst case scenario here, I believe it was just slightly over a point to the downside before we got traction and moved back above here. Now, some of you may remember us talking about air pockets and whatnot. Well, this is the classic example of statistical viability was catching well here, and then we had an air pocket here. Sometimes statistical probability has a difficult time, very similar to, say, a professional poker player that plays perfectly. Doesn't even make one mistake. Every decision they make is based on statistics, but sometimes they still lose because another player gets lucky, right? So statistical analysis is the way to go, but there are going to be times in the day where nothing's working. Now, the interesting thing about this risk on chart is once we get back above this level, we can kind of treat this just like a stock. Once we come down here and we bust out from this level, that also gives us a little clue. Okay, steam is picking up. Statistical probability, we're not in the doldrums anymore. We've got wind in our sails, and there might be something to be had. All right, so let's look at the individual trades, and I think, Holly, let's see here. Yeah, 19 trades total. Of course, they were all long, and a few in the first 30 minutes, and then pretty even distribution of trades. Kind of busy in the second hour there. Let's do this. Let's sort by risk on. Make sure we can see all the trades, not just the winners, but some of the losers as well, which Holly handled pretty well today. Now, first on the list, this was the very first trade that Holly spit out today, GLPG, and it's kind of hard to get any prettier than what you see right here. About as pain-free of a chart as anyone can ever hope for, just constantly ebbing and flowing and heading north. So I'm just taking a quick peek at the daily here because I always like to see what's in store. And we can see we had a gap up and we gapped way above this little area of consolidation here. And so once we get above that level, things get interesting. And the beautiful thing about this is Holly, GLPG, was spawned by Sunrise Mover, which we can see right here. It came into the session with 63.3%. Anything coming out of here had that percentage chance of working today. So that's a big plus on our side. With statistical models, the rule of thumb is anything above 50%. Now, the lower the success rate, the bigger the spread needs to be between your average winner and loser. So this little guy is quite a bit away from the minimum, up at 63.3%. Those are some really nice odds. And of course, when we look at GLPG today, and by the way, the Sunrise Movers is a shorter term hold time. We can see each and every strategy developed around an intraday hold time here. Sometimes it's actual minutes, sometimes it's till a certain time of the day, but you can always see that right here. So Sunrise Mover, 30-minute hold time. Holly on risk off nets 35 cents. Her time stop got out, and she did what she was programmed to do. All right, so the shaded area is Holly and her participation during risk off. So she gets out for her 35 cents, and then we can see stock took a little pullback, so that was a pretty good timely exit there before the pullback. Not that that's what the goal is, because stocks are going to take pullbacks. They typically don't just go straight up. Some do, but most of the time they're going to do the little dance that we see here. Now I just realized I was on the wrong stock. Okay, so back to GLPG. I was like, wait, that chart looks different. So GLPG, once again, the same strategy, so a 30-minute hold time, it also timed out. So she held for the entire period. Now let's talk about risk off, risk on. For those of you who might be new, you don't really have to pick risk on or risk off before the session. That's not the way we designed it. We designed it just to give you more information than most other trading platforms, especially one, well, there aren't any that have a model like you see here, but risk off is Holly obeying her rule set, getting out with her time stops, timed holds, profit targets and stop losses. And we can always see the reason for the exit right here. So Holly gets out. Once again, it's the same. The shaded area is her participating in risk off. So we get the buy signal here. We just get a nice little slope. And she gets out right here because she's programmed to. That's her going risk off. Now, if you and I are in the trade with Holly, and we see this beautiful chart unfolding, and we see Holly making her exit because she's programmed to get out after 30 minutes, but we look and we go, well, why should I get out? I know Holly's getting out, but that's because we told her to. But when the chart looks conducive enough, that's when we make the decision to go risk on. So I always like to play this game right here. Risk off, 35 cents. Risk on, meaning if we held to the close or whatever time of the day it is, this is what the reflective profit would be. So if you held to the end of the day, 2.57 points. Holly takes 35 cents. There is a pretty big spread, one of the larger spreads I've seen, between 35 cents and 57. We got $2 and change in there that we can try to get. So when you notice Holly exiting a position, you can always exit with her. But if the chart looks conducive, especially if we look at the daily and we go, wow, not only did we not trade above there, we gapped above this area, and the stock is starting to head north, which leads our eyes over to this little area right here. And of course, it blew right through this level here and, finished the day halfway into this bar right here. So what's going to happen tomorrow? Don't know. Might be an interesting one to watch. But this little guy delivered 2.57 points, or on a percentage basis, 3.28, and one of the nicest charts I've seen in a very long time. Now, the second sweet part about this chart, and what you cannot see in any of the data here, is the fact that this thing set up multiple times. So once we get long here and it puts in this high right here, if we draw some lines, we can see that it goes to sleep. Buyer takes a break, but eventually has to come back out and get more stock. Once this break occurs right here, this is a simple intraday range break. We have an opportunity to leverage that position not only here, but another time after this high is put in here. We could even go right here, takes a break and pops higher. But I mean, when you have these charts right like this, your risk is very low on these second and third entries. If you're just abiding by, okay, we got a break from this level right here, and we'll use these little wicks as our stop loss for our entire position if we're wrong. And you can see it never encroached on those wicks. So this is a really good example of Holly identifying the buyer about as early as you can, you know, in the second 5-minute block of the market. And then once we get that momentum in our favor and this nice little pattern developing, just keep that in mind. Well, when I'm in a Holly play, whether it's in the first 5 minutes, 13 or 30 minutes, just watch the patterns closely. If you see this pattern unfolding, it's a beautiful thing because it gives us additional entries and really a chance to leverage these high probability plays. So once again, the name of the game is just trying to get something in between risk off and risk on. And if you're unsure when you first start trying to adhere to this methodology, whether it's in demo or live, then think about it from this perspective. Why not do a little bit of both? See what that's like. You're in 100 shares, you see Holly getting out right here, you're like, okay, I'll go with Holly on my half lot. I'm going to put a stop loss in for break even or slightly after break even and try to ride the rest for the remainder of the day and manage my risk accordingly. That gives you a nice little mix, gets you used to it nice and easy with minimal confusion. All right, so that's the GLPG, and then the same strategy, Sunrise Mover, the guy that hit 4 out of 4 today. This is the next one. Looks very similar, just a little bit later in the day. EBS, once again, these are 5-minute candles. And what I really like about this one, and by the way, notice the shading. And we'll talk about this a little bit more later on about how we've implemented a layer of this AI into our regular charts so that no matter what stock you pull up, whether it's Holly or not, you're going to have these shaded areas to guide you. All right, if you trade the stock right now, this is your stop loss. This is your profit target. So we can clearly see these big boxes identifying Holly's stop loss, her entry price, and her profit target. Now, coincidentally, the same time Holly is calling the long here, if we were to extend the blue line across here, and I'll just put another one, this is actually a range break occurring as Holly is calling it. Same thing from Sunrise Mover. Now, let me frame things in a way that probably you've not heard a lot of the times if you've attended some other trading workshops or listen to some other people speak, but most people, they know what statistical probability is, but they're not really applying it to their trading routine. So what I mean by that is this. Number one, this just happens to be one of my favorite patterns because if you can find these guys with low risk and high volume, then the chances of this happening are greater than one without volume. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But when you come to the trade right off the bat with 63.3% probability on your side, and then you notice it's coinciding with a great solid pattern, well, now you've got 2 stars. Now, if there just happens to be volume behind it, you can even go 3 and 4 stars sometimes. Now, a trade can work on any one of those merits alone, but the more that you can stack, the better off you're going to be. The higher the probability is going to inch further and further. So we've got, once again, one that just kind of meanders around a little bit right above the entry price and then just slowly does its thing. And of course, the shaded area, once again, is Holly getting out on her risk off. So on this one, she takes 19 cents, getting out right here. And then, of course, stock takes a little pullback, gyrates higher over time. Once again, whether we use the wick right here, which is what we have to use if we want to play 100% by the rules, what happens? As soon as Holly gets or gives us the call, we're in the money and we're meandering around in this area right here. We put in a high and then we go range bound again. And then, very similar to the other one, as soon as we creep back up to that previous high and break that plane, we get another push higher, and yet another opportunity to maybe double the position, or maybe just tack on an extra 100 because we feel that it's got the momentum. We can also notice the high volume bar down here as well. So that second break right there occurred on some pretty decent volume. And while we're on the topic of volume, volume is by no means the holy grail. It's kind of like water or rocket fuel in a rocket. You can have a pattern, but if there's no gas in the tank and you step on that gas, you may get a little ways, but eventually you're going to run out of gas, or the rocket's going to run out of fuel and it's going to fall back down. But if you have sustained volume in a full tank, well, then you have the potential energy for a sustained move. So when you start coupling volume with statistical probability and some technical chart skills, that's a pretty unbeatable combination. It just takes some getting used to. And once you develop these techniques, there's really not a lot that can change in the market to put a damper on them, other than the market just doing no volume. And if that happens, well, we're all in the same boat anyway. But these simple techniques that we're sharing with you, we're coupling them with this powerful AI model, folding in statistical probability, and that makes a huge difference. Big difference. That's why Vegas is in existence. That's why casinos exist, because they know the odds. They know that over time they're gonna make money, even though you might get a big wig come in there and take them for a couple $100 grand or a couple of million at any given time. That's just the name of the game. So we want to be those guys walking out with money. We want to be the guys feeding the market. We want to be taking from the market. All right, so once again, a very nice spread between 19 cents and 96 cents. We could have easily peeled out a half our position with Holly just to make ourselves comfortable. Let the other part ride. You can see pullbacks are no fun. Nobody likes pullbacks, but they're just part of the game. We still never even came close to being stopped out, which is what stop losses are for. When Holly gets out of a position on profit save or reduce risk, that's just basically her equivalent of a trailing stop, because we can't have her letting winners turn into losers. Just wouldn't work out very well. All right, so the only other one where there was really anything, there was another 10 cents in here. Not a bad little trade, just didn't really move a whole lot compared to the others. Happened a little bit later in the day, but as you can see, the pattern is still kind of the same thing. You see how that's coinciding with this little range break right here? Makes us feel all nice and warm and fuzzy, and then we have that statistical probability behind it. Now, the interesting thing about SLP, one of the, let's see, we're doing a couple hundred shares in those blocks right there, but there were some bars around here. I think maybe 13,000 shares traded in this one. But the interesting thing about SLP was that two different strategies fired it off today. First, it was wake up call, which is the one we're looking at here, and then quarterback tried to catch it up there. Just meandered around a little bit, didn't really do much of anything. Holly timed out on that one and then decided to get out early and take her 11 cents on the second one. Now, not to be biased here, let's take a look at the other end of the spectrum. What about the red ones, right? Holly's risk off profit here, she got into this one at the top and got a little nervous and goes, I'm going to take my 9 cents. That was a good exit. Would have ended up being down 62 cents on the remainder of the day. And on this guy right here, Cito, another top tick, but she exercises her risk, reduced risk, takes a penny loser. Would have worked out significantly worse had she not gotten out of that position. So as far as keeping the loser small, that methodology is working out well. And then it's up to us. It's man working with the machine to just look at the chart when we're in a stock and it's working to figure out if we would like to accept more risk on it. But, Andy will tell you this, Steve will tell you this. I mean, one of the hardest things is just getting in the money. Nobody likes to get into a stock and immediately be down and having to sit that wiggle or sit in that pain threshold. So in the money is the first part of the equation. As Andy says, they all start as day trades. Once it starts shoring up and we're pretty convinced, hey, we're right on this thing, then if we want to consider holding it for multiple days, the easiest thing to do and one of the most accurate things you could ever do is just look to the left on the daily. Figure out where it might bump its head. And if this little GLPG gets some traction on the open tomorrow, well then probably the next little point we could draw would be right here. And of course, if it gets out of there, well then, you know, it's anybody's game, Andy. I mean, it could go here, it could go all the way to here. It just depends on how much momentum or volume is driving that thing when it finally does poke its head up. But you know what? I would definitely keep an eye on this one tomorrow. Maybe it does something, maybe it doesn't. But a lot of the times, these Holly plays have carryover. So just keep that in mind. Well, Andy, that's pretty much it for Holly today. You know, as you said earlier, kind of a sloppy day. If you were taking more risk, it was kind of a roller coaster ride here. But you know, having
it's all about managing risk, and that is the key. I mean, and honestly, guys, I've known a lot of pikers in my life, myself being one of them for a while, you know, and when I say that is people looking to jump in, you know, and ride the momentum for a couple of minutes, get out for your 15, 20 cents and move on to the next trade. But it's so much easier once you can start letting trades, you know, work for you. And pullbacks are not fun, but that's why we recommend, you know, peeling half off and getting in the habit of just letting. And the best way to do that is sometimes just put a price alert, something that alerts you if it comes back down to the break-even point, and then get it off your screen and let it work for you. Because I'm serious, if you're sitting there and you stare at it, you start thinking of reasons of why you should get out, you know, and trust me, I've done it for a long time.
That's the worst thing you can do. One of the worst things you can do as a trader is, you know, here we are with this tool looking at many things, and it's just human nature. You get in a couple of positions, you're like, when's it gonna go? When's it gonna go?
Mm-hmm.
You fixate on that so much that you miss other trades. So the goal is, the easiest methodology for me is typically I'll sort my blotter by losers. And that's all I really care about. Is anything getting away from me? No? Okay, well then everything's fine, you know? And let the positions work for you. It's in our nature to go, bam, okay, I just made $100. But if you could have made 300, probably makes a lot of sense to exercise a little bit more patience, right? And just getting into the groove of, you know what, money's going to be the byproduct. If I make a good trade, I'll get rewarded, right? Yep. We shouldn't have this mentality, I got to make $200 today. Well, good luck. You know, how are you going to go about making that $200? And what if you only make 150? Or what if this market's not conducive and it's just not there today? So the goal should always just be my goal today is to sit here. I know what I'm looking for. And when I see that thing that I'm looking for, I have to do this, this, and this. That's what it is. You know, no motion, no uncertainty, mechanical, methodical. And Holly is your statistically inclined trader that's going to trade every day and show you some really interesting things, and also give you an idea of, is it a difficult market? Because if we're watching her P&L ebb and flow, if this highly advanced statistical model is having problems, well, then that also tells you, hey, you might want to keep your powder dry. And if you do trade, you need to be very, very selective.
Yep.
All right. So,
one question. Just show Nathan real quick. He asked, when Holly gets into a trade, does it tell us what the winning percentage probability is? And
well, each strategy is going to come into the session with the statistical probability after the calculations were run the night before, right? So anything coming out of Sunrise Mover today, you could assume a 63.3% chance of working. So that's where we get each strategy's statistical probability. And we can see it pumped out 4 and it really overperformed today. Hit 4 for 4 for 100% when it only came into the day at 63.3%.
Now, if you do not have that on your, show them how to go and add the column, because I notice on the AI, Holly AI channel, that's not in there. So show them how they can go in and add that column if they don't see it.
Right, we just right click anywhere in this strategy panel, and then we click on columns, and then these are the columns that I'm currently viewing. And you know, there's the win percentage. If I pushed it back over here, it would disappear. If a column you want is not being presented, you find it here and you highlight it and you just push it over here, and then it becomes a column in here. So if you don't have the win percentage column, stretch your panel out, make sure you're seeing all the columns that are currently there, and then you can pick and choose the columns you do or do not want by right clicking and going to columns. Yeah, no worries, Nathan. All right, Andy, well, if you're ready to show everybody the new toy that you created today, I'll kick it back over to you.
All righty.
Assuming I can find my toolbar. There we go. All right. Coming at you.
All right, let me squeeze this back in here. And I showed you guys last week the option play magic, and I got to thinking, because it's an alert, and not, you know, a lot of people like the alerts, but if you want to just kind of look at the broad picture of what's happening and maybe look at multiple stocks all at one time and kind of scan the environment, it's great to use a top list. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll convert an alert into a top list. So let me pull up the option play magic, and so where is it at? There it is. All right, so this is a multi-strategy window, and if I pull up all the strategies, you can see here that I only have really one open right now, and that's the one moving higher on usually strong volume of 150%. So I'm going to catch anything that's, as long as it's 150% or greater. Okay, so this is going to be a stream. If I click on this today and I go to history and do time frame, it's going to show you all the alerts that came through here this morning. Well, what happens a lot of times in an alert window or a multi-strategy is you get stocks just streaming through here pretty constantly. You can see the many stocks that came through here at any given time during the day. So if you're trying to monitor this along with several other alerts, sometimes you can miss things. So a way to do it so you don't want to miss anything is to create what's called a top list. So basically, these are pretty basic strategies here. I'll look at the configuration real quick to kind of show you. And it's, come on now. So it's basically looking stocks 1 to 100. Relative volume has to be a minimum of 3. I don't have that in my top list I'm going to show you, but that's something that you could add. You could add as many filters if you want. And you can see the option volume and contract. So I want to take this data and convert it into a top list. So basically all I did is you have to eliminate the new high. Okay, because remember, top lists do not have alerts in it. New high is what's called an alert. It's an event that timestamps a price and a time, basically in the alert as it comes through. So on a top list, you're never going to see that. Okay, it's nothing but filters. So if I look at the configuration of this, I got this one set up pretty basic. That's the thing about top lists. You can set them up just very simple, because what you can use is your columns to sort everything. So everything will kind of, whatever you want to sort by, you can pull it up on top. So I'm just looking for stocks over $5. The minimum amount of option is 100%. So basically, it is the option volume today is at least 100% of normal. So basically, it is 100% of normal. You can you could put 150 in here, you could put 200 in here. It doesn't really matter, because it's a top list and you're going to sort by something, so it doesn't really matter, you know, what you have in here. So unless you just totally want to eliminate, all the ones doing like 100%, between 100% and 150. But I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, because what I've done here is I'm sorting from position and range. Now, anytime you do not see a word in front of a range, it's talking about the intraday range. Okay, so simple top list to create, and here is my top list right here. So now what you can do, the sorting is up to you. So throughout the day, you can see these stocks and they're going to be in here. And right now I have them sorted by position and range. So the strongest ones are going to be the ones closer to going to highs or just hit highs are going to be on top. And they're going to be sorted, going down. All right, say you wanted to sort by 5-minute volume. You can do that as well. You want to sort by option volume today. You can do that. Look at this AVA, incredible volume today. Look at this gap. I'm not sure if that was a buyout today or what, Jamie, but I may have missed that news. But this is one that I'm going to keep an eye on. I love this. I love the way this is setting up. This is AXTI, was doing incredible volume today. All right, that basically is 29 times normal volume. So this is a stock that I'm going to keep an eye out on for the next day, because I'm liking this daily pattern. It's kind of got a downtrend right here. It's doing huge volume and could potentially break out of this level right here. Mark that up for you so we can see it. And this is kind of what you can do, guys, when you're looking for opportunity in the marketplace. You don't have to always feel like you need to be just looking for these alerts to come through and grab them, really fast. I'm going to show you some ones today that came through here. Besides that, just Maxim, there's another one kind of to watch at. It looks like that one has, could potentially have clear sailing all the way up to this level right here. AdTrain was a stock that had earnings yesterday or the day before yesterday afternoon. Gapped up, but look at the move it had today, even the second day after earnings. Huge move there in AdTrain. If you look here, it just went to a multi-year high. I do not know if that's an all-time inning. I'll have to pull it. I'd have to put in a lifetime range in here to tell that. But nonetheless, this is a great tool, guys, for you to just have up and watching as stocks come through here. And if it's too much for you, you can always jack the option volume up to 200%, 300% to find the ones that are really doing strong volume. But it's a great little thing to do. And you could, I would even toy around with the idea of coming in here, going to columns and adding a, let's say, at least a yearly range. Oh, thought it was year range. Position in year range.
There you go.
So now you can show column. You just added a column to this. And there it is. So now if you wanted to sort by position in year range, there you go. So now you get all these stocks that are coming through doing huge option volume and trading at at least a 52-week high. So getting a lot of people asking about position trading and swing trading, and I've found that if you catch these stocks that are doing huge volume, you can find some nice setups on it that could have a potential 3 or 4 or 5 day move, week, 2 months move, who knows. But this is a nice little tool, because especially if you catch them around earnings. That's why I have an earnings date in here. Look for the ones that might have earnings. Look at Microsoft doing some decent volume today, option volume, and they have earnings coming out. Well, it won't be tomorrow. What would 0.75? That'd be,
that'd
be Monday morning, or wait.
Well, is it 0.75 or 1.7?
No, it's 0.75, but I know they won't have it after the close on Friday.
Well, then I would think maybe that's the close tomorrow.
Well, that's Friday. That'd be strange.
Yeah.
No.
Like, I was a day ahead yesterday. I'm a day behind today, man.
But anyway, I'm going to drop this in there, guys. It's real easy to create, but I'm going to make it easier for you and drop this in there. And once again, you can play around with this idea. I mean, and because option volume can point to a significant move on the daily chart, so keep an eye on it. So I'm going to save and share this to the cloud, and I will drop it in the chat window. So you do have a chat window on your GoToWebinar dashboard, so just find that chat window, and it's going to be the only thing that's going to be in there. So you guys can grab that, and I think probably most everybody knows how to grab it and load it to the cloud. So Jamie, I think that's just about going to wrap it up. Like I said, guys, we've been doing a lot of webinars.
Yeah, and Andy, there were people asking for that window, so if you wouldn't mind dropping that into the.
I did.
Okay.
It's in there. It is in there. Okay, let me just show you real quick what you have to do. Just click on the link for those, and you're going to get this little page pop up. I'll copy the URL, and then you can just get rid of that page, and now you just go to your file, load from cloud. It will already, the code will already be in there. It copies it from the clipboard, and you just hit load, and it will pull a new one up for you. Now remember, all you've done so far is loaded it from the cloud. Now once you remember, if you want to save it, you have to go down, find the cloud, save to the cloud.
And I also.
All right, Jamie.
I dropped that compare count window in there as well, in case people just want to start getting it pulled up and watching the action on the open. You know, I think that if you do that, you'll start to realize the benefits from it. So give it a whirl.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, once again, top lists, guys, are great for taking a slower approach, scanning, you know, finding your opportunities, looking for those setups where you could get a nice 2 or 3 day move from. It's all about, you know, it's all about chart reading and being able to, you know, understand the footprints in the sand. But all right, I think it's time, Jamie. Unless you have anything to add, I'll bring Scott in to kind of walk us out here, and you guys hang on because I know he's going to offer you a discount today. So,
Yep,
Scott, if you want to,
I'm done,
guys. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and Andy and Jamie. Yeah, there's a actually there's a podcast comes out tomorrow. Jamie and Dan are going to fill your ears with magical wonder about the markets. So make sure you're a subscriber. Just go to your favorite podcast app and search for Trade Ideas Podcasts. Add us to your subscription. There's a promo code that you can use to save. You can also download a handout that I will place momentarily in the handouts panel. Let me drop that in there right now, and then you can go ahead and expand your handouts panel in one moment and grab a PDF download that contains your promotional code and some other cards that include our contact information. Use the code SUNNY, S-U-N-N-Y, all caps. It's going to be the next slide there, Andy, and that's 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas Standard or Premium. Remember that both Standard and Premium include a full hour of one-on-one training with Andy or Jamie or Steve. So, you know, get on that. It's a great way to get on board and save. And you can also use this code if you're going to upgrade from Standard to Premium. Just go to your account management panel and click on Change My Subscription. Use that code. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone that's participating in the test drive. We appreciate it and hope that you get the most out of your 5 days of trying Trade Ideas. And you know, it's a great way to try out the full suite of products. We get to know Holly a little bit too. If you have any questions, email us info@trade-ideas.com. You know, follow Jamie at QuantBot, follow Steve Gomez at Today Trader, follow Dan Merkin at Trade Ideas One, all that good stuff. Also find us on Facebook, like our page, and share the stuff we posted with your friends. Thanks, everyone. The recording will be up a little bit later on, and you get an email reminder tomorrow. Thanks, Jamie and Andy.
Hey, Thanks, everybody. Andy,
thanks, everybody.